And welcome to our Japanese Grand Prix rated and slated, where we kind of say how the drivers did going through, let's be fair, the bottom of the barrel. Yeah, we'll get there to the top of the podium potentially. Yeah, did Max Verstappen get our driver of the race? Well, you're going to have to wait because we've got some other 19 drivers to talk about until we get to the top spot. But let's talk about the bottom spot. And at the bottom is a certain Frenchman. Yep, not Canadian. I'm sure some of you thought I was going to put Lance Stroll, but no, I'm going to put Esteban Ocon, who qualified 18th. Oh dear. And he finished 18th. And when your teammate is scoring points, qualifying in the top 10, and is a rookie and all that, it's not really good enough, is it? I'm sorry, Ocon, it really isn't. So, yeah, one of the worst drivers of the weekend, if I'm honest. Sorry, I like you. And this guy here, okay, he's the second worst. Okay, he's had a really good start to the season, but when you qualify last and you finish last, and your teammate, to be fair, Alonso, didn't qualify in the top 10, didn't score points. Let's not forget, Lance Stroll is the point scorer, the only point scorer of the Aston Martin team. But this race doesn't matter. Yeah, disappointing, very disappointing, Lance. So next up, we have got a man who is Alexander Albon's teammate. Where did this man qualify? Well, he qualified 12th. Okay, Alexander Albon qualified 9th. And in the race, he went a bit backwards by finishing 14th. And let's be fair, taking far too many shortcuts that he wasn't investigated, but it was noted several times by the steward, at least twice from the top of my head. But yeah, not good enough, Carlos. Yes, you've come into the Williams, and we all expected you to blow Alexander Albon away, but it's not happened yet. It may all happen. He still might not get you. He still needs to get used to the car, but no, not particularly great in Japan. And Bortoleto is next. And Gabriele Bortoleto qualifying 17th, you know, just under Nico Hülkenberg, and he ended up finishing 19th, where Hülkenberg finished 16th. But this is a race where it was very difficult to pass. It was quite the ball fest, if I'm honest, because many people, where they qualified is where they finished. For a lot of people, or within a couple of positions. So I don't want to be too harsh. Or I don't want to be too harsh on this guy either. Jack Doohan. So Jack Doohan, he qualified 19th. Yeah. Not good enough, Jack. Not good enough at all. He finished 15th, so he made a couple of places, I guess. But still, underwhelming for Alpine, which many thought was the 5th or at least 6th fastest team. But they're currently 0-0 points in the Constructors' Championship. So next up, no, he's not in the Red Bull. I need to update him, but it is Liam Lawson in the V-Carb. Why? Well, he qualified 14th. Yes, he out-qualified Tsunoda in what is an easier car to drive. But then he finished behind Tsunoda. He finished behind Tsunoda. So, yeah, I mean, not good really, is it? Not good at all. Oh, Liam. 17th. Not really where you want to be when Isaac Hadjar, your teammate, finished 8th. In the points and got his first point of the year. This guy has raced in 2 Red Bulls and 1 V-Carb and hasn't scored a point yet. Disappointing. Yes, he's still getting used to the car, although I imagine he's quite familiar to the team. So after Liam Lawson is Nico Hülkenberg. So Nico Hülkenberg, he did out-qualify his teammate, excuse me, for the first time this year. But very average in the race. Once again, it's probably because they're in the stakes. However, at 16th in the race. Not particularly great there. So next up, we've got Home Hero. What on earth was he doing as the driver of the race? Yes, I know he's on the Red Bull. Need to update it. But Yuki Tsunoda, okay, he got out qualified by Lawson 15th. He's got a car that won the race. We cannot forget that. And he finished 12th. Yes, there's 2 places outside the points, which is why he's ahead of Liam Lawson, but still disappointing, if I'm honest. So next up, we've got Pierre of the Gasly. So out qualifying in 11th, just outside that top 10. So comfortably out qualifying Mr. Doohan. And then he finished 13th. So he dropped a couple of places. But yeah, so kind of like an average weekend for Gasly. And a very average weekend for this guy here, Fernando Alonso. So Fernando Alonso qualifying 13th, finishing, Finishing 11th, just outside the point, but still hasn't scored a point this year. So, yeah, disappointing for Alonso. Next up, we've got Lewis of the Hamilton. Disappointing if I'm honest, for Lewis Hamilton. A very average weekend. I mean, he qualified, what, 8th, which was not great. I mean, Leclerc qualified 4th. There was only a couple of tenths behind him. Then he ended up, yes, he beat Isaac Hadjar by finishing 7th. He was so close to Kimi Antonelli at one point, and then ended up over 10 seconds, I think 11 seconds behind him. So a very, not terrible, but a very average weekend. George Russell, I guess he about as good as he's going to get, finishing 5th and qualifying 5th. At one point, it thought he was putting pressure on Leclerc, but then I don't know if he ruined his tyres. It just didn't quite work out for him, as it has done the last two weekends, where he has scored a podium. It's not bad here. So next up, we have got, I mean, we're getting into the good bits now, because Oscar Piastri, a solid weekend from, yes, he qualified 3rd. He hustled Lando Norris all the way. But some people say he was in the faster McLaren. Could he have won the race? Well, McLaren didn't really let them by, and why should they? Oscar Piastri himself said, if I wanted a chance to win the race, I should have out-qualified Lando. Never a true word spoken, that well. So yeah, not bad. So Lando Norris. Yes, he out-qualified Piastri. He beat Piastri. He had a chance of winning the race. I have put him above Piastri simply because he, was out-qualified and beat him in the race. But still, I don't think it's the result as 2-3. It's not really one home to write home about, to shout about. As a McLaren driver, when you probably had the best car, like he said, that's going to come to haunt him, isn't it? In the press conference, he was talking about, yes, we're so good, etc., etc. And then, yeah, a bit of egg in his face. Egg on your face, Lando Norris, I'm afraid. So we've got Charles Leclerc, who qualified 4th and sadly finished 4th, just off the podium. Kind of like George Russell, I think that was unqualified. He got the absolute best out of his package that he could have done. Like Max Verstappen. That Ferrari, I think, was not going to get any higher than that against the two McLarens and Max Verstappen. So absolutely well done to Charles Leclerc. A really, really solid result there. We're not done though. We still have a few drivers, and this driver here, Alexander Albon. Why? I hear you say, well, he qualified 9th. Yes, he did finish in 9th. But a really solid weekend for Williams again, and what is quite a difficult track. So well done, Alexander Albon, and he's only beaten by Kimi Antonelli. Have I updated it yet? No, it still says from Great Britain. No, he's not. He's from Finland. But Kimi Antonelli in the Mercedes. I mean, he finished in 6th, qualified 6th, but he was under pressure from Lewis Hamilton and had a really solid race. Got the most out of, I think he got pretty much the most out of his package that he could have done. I mean, when we look at the race, he finished within 1.3 seconds of George Russell. Yes, it was the alternate strategy, but well done, Kimi Antonelli. And a well done to this guy here. What an absolute stunning race. Yes, he qualified 10th. Yes, he did finish 10th, but he completely obliterated, I think, his teammate in this race, Ollie Behrman, scoring points, very important points for the Haas team. And that was believe it or not, that was our 3rd place guy. Our 2nd place guy is this man here, Isaac Hadjar, scoring his first points of the year, out qualifying his hero Lewis Hamilton, and then finishing, yes, 1 place behind him. I think about 8 or so seconds-ish behind him in the race, but 8th, beating the likes of Albon, Behrman, Alonso, Tsunoda, Gasly, Sainz, Doohan, Lawson. I mean, Ocon. Yeah, solid result there. Well done, Hadjar. But you probably guessed it. Our man of the race, our man of the weekend even, is Max Verstappen. Why? Absolutely maximising, actually, pun intended if I'm honest, maximising the result. Okay? He got pole position when no one thought he could. Everyone thought, the McLarens are going to pressure him for the race. They didn't really. He just held it. He just had a really solid weekend. From qualifying, didn't really make a mistake. The only mistake that was made was that Red Bull pit scenario, where that nearly by about half a second could have cost him the race. Lando then just became an expensive lawnmower, didn't he? So let's then go from the bottom to the top. Esteban Ocon, worst guy of the race, not good at all, but followed by Lance Stroll, disappointing, starting 20th, finishing 20th. Carlos Sainz can't get a grip on that Williams. Bortoletto, okay, first time he's been outgunned by his teammate. Doohan, constantly being outgunned by his teammate. Sadly, come on, Doohan, you can do better. Liam Lawson, yes, in the V-Carb, not the Red Bull. Not doing as good as Tsunoda, out-qualified him, but then that was probably the only highlight. Hulkenberg finally beating his teammate Tsunoda, despite being in the winning car in Max Verstappen, not doing particularly great. Gasly, very average. Alonso, average again. Hamilton, really average compared to... excuse me, compared to his teammate. Disappointing. George Russell got, I think, the most he probably could have done out of his package, as did Oscar Piastri, maybe. I mean, he said himself, had he out-qualified Lando Norris, he probably could have had a chance of winning. Lando Norris beat Oscar Piastri, that's why he's there, but he's still not anywhere near the top because, whoops-a-daisy, Lando Norris. Leclerc got the absolute most out of his package. Well done by finishing 4th. Alexander Albon scoring points again in the Williams on a difficult circuit, but Kimi Antonelli, yes, he qualified where he started. Well, he finished where he started, but still well done that, just finishing 1.3 behind George on the alternate strategy. Ollie Behrman in the points. Absolutely fantastic. Hadjar scoring his first ever points. This guy is looking good, but driver of the race, Max Verstappen. Who would bet against him? Max, Super Max. And breathe. And breathe. If you would like what you see, please give us a subscribe. That would be great. But you just clicking on this is more than enough for us. But until then, stay safe if you can. We'll speak to you soon, and thanks for watching.